Welcome to the Becoming a Principal podcast, a podcast for aspiring educational leaders. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Matt. We are high school administrators in Ontario, Canada, and we're excited to share our experiences with you. This podcast is designed to provide inspiration and support for educators considering leadership roles. We plan to discuss a range of topics related to educational leadership to help you on your journey to become and thrive as a school leader.
Awesome. In this episode today, we'll be discussing 3 ways to build strong relationships with staff. In an article in Harvard Business Journal? Business Review?
Business Review. Yeah.
An article by Adam Smiley Pozwolski. It's titled, How Leaders Can Build Connection in a Disconnected Workplace. It states that employee disconnection is one of the main drivers of voluntary turnover, with lonely employees costing U.S. companies up to $406 billion a year. Research by Cygnus shows that lonely employees have a higher risk of turnover, lower productivity, more missed days at work, and lower quality work. Meanwhile, BetterUp found that employees who experience high levels of belonging have a drop in turnover risk, an increase in job performance, a reduction in sick days, and an increase in employer promoter score, which results in annual savings of $52 million for a 10,000 person company. While we don't always like to think of education as a business in our context, it is a workplace for many people. And understanding what drives engagement and productivity, also job satisfaction, should be a top priority for employers, and that includes managers, leaders like school principals and administrators. Maybe you can relate. If you think about a time where you felt like you belonged in a workplace culture and how that made you feel, and maybe think about a time where you felt like you didn't belong or disconnected from your place of work, and what factors might have contributed to that feeling. So school leaders, what we can do to intentionally build strong relationships with our staff, or sort of what can we do as school leaders to help build strong relationships with our staff so they feel a sense of belonging. It's a big topic. There's lots that we can do. But we've got sort of 3 strategies that we're going to share with you today.
Yeah, it's what Jordan and I have been bouncing around here. So strategy number 1 is to connect and celebrate with people in our building. Strategy number 2, show your humility, your openness and willingness to listen and learn from one another. And the 3rd is radical transparency. So what we're going to do is we're going to bounce around some of these ideas now, go a little bit more in depth. So Jordan, why don't we start with connect and celebrate?
Yeah, so I mean, if you feel connected to anything, you're probably going to be more committed to it, and you'll probably want to just going to enjoy your time more, first of all. So how do we do that in a workplace or in a school? One of our strategies that we use is definitely celebrate when people are doing a good job and acknowledge when people are doing a good job. We can do that formally sometimes. We'll take time at like staff meetings to acknowledge some accomplishments. Maybe it's an email to all staff. Maybe it's a social media interaction that celebrates one of our teachers as well. And then really, when we are together, trying to be as present as possible and connecting with one another on a very human level. That can take place, again, in like a big setting, like as a formal meeting, but it can also take place in our one-to-one interactions with each other. So those are a few things that I think about as I'm trying to build relationships with staff as it relates to celebrating and connecting. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. Actually, when I look at this topic, it makes me think about that book, Lead From Where You Are, by Joe Sanfilippo.
You got it.
And thinking about trying to connect people in the building. So and a good example of that is when you hear somebody's doing something awesome and you really want to amplify that person, but connect them to other people who might be able to use that idea too. Yeah, so you can really see that both parties appreciate that when it's the right people, that you're connecting with one another. So that person who is doing something awesome, they feel heard and celebrated. And then by connecting to somebody new, now they've created that partnership and relationship with one another. And they can go on and continue to do great things together, and I really see that that benefit between those groups of people.
Yeah, that's a great point. The connecting and amplifying, I love that
thought.
Right. It's something that maybe I've done in the past, but I'm definitely more aware of it now after reading that book.
Yeah, that book's helpful.
Yeah, because then you're thinking, okay, so someone's talking about something that you heard, or you know somebody else is doing well, so you take that opportunity to share. Oh, well, so-and-so is doing that in their class. Maybe you want to connect with them.
Yeah.
So then it just builds a bit of credibility and connection among staff, and maybe fosters some collaboration as well.
Yeah, and honestly, it makes it look like that you're paying attention to, right? That you're present in the building, you know what's going on, and you know what people are doing and what other people are interested in learning more about too. So I think it really promotes the idea that you're there to listen and learn from other people.
Yeah, it's awesome. And
see that segue?
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. You almost got me. I almost was still stuck. That's a good one. Okay, go ahead, Nate. Go back to the second strategy there.
Okay, sure. So strategy number 2 is really showing our own humility and the openness to listen and learn from others. So I think the best managers or bosses or leaders, that's the term I really want to use, are those that admit that they don't have all the answers, right? That they're not the experts, that there's a lot of other people in the building that or in the workplace that they need to listen to and get ideas from to make the best decision or make the best programming, and realize that you don't have to do it on your own, that you really should be learning from other people and listening to them, because in a way that you're not, like they're doing something at a different level from you, that you're going to ask them to be there with you and walk alongside you, so you got to use them and use their expertise to get there.
No, that's a great point. I think, it's hard to be humble and confident at the same time, but I think if you are able to just be open, like you said, to the idea that people are smarter than you, know more than you, more knowledgeable on a topic, might actually be the better person to lead a certain initiative than you yourself. In a high school, it's huge, right? Like we talk about, and maybe there's some difference here. We could go on a future pod about the difference between elementary and secondary in this regard. But there are certain scenarios in a school, like as an administrator, that there are people that you literally don't know exactly what their curriculum is. So, for example, if you're talking about like a 4U science class or a high-level science class for grade 12, and you've never taught in that discipline, you might not be able to relate to the exact curriculum or the needs of that class the same way. So you're going to defer to the experts, which are the teachers. So just feeling like you don't have to know all the answers, I think is a huge step, and showing that you're okay with not knowing all the answers, and being, like you said, open to hearing from others and deferring to people that have some experience, and being totally fine with that.
Yeah, I think too about how our team is really good at walking around the building, especially certain times of the day, and being visible and making those connections with other people. So they see you and they see that you're present, and then when you're back in the office, you're not sitting in your office with the door closed, that you're ready to interact with other people and have those conversations with them. And whether that be a mentoring conversation or just to talk about the weekend, or you're helping them work through a situation, they just see that you're available to them too. And I think that really helps earn some credibility, that you're there walking alongside them, and also that like you're in it with them, right? They don't feel like they're on their own, that they feel like they have somebody supporting them.
It's a great point. And then last thing I'll say about strategy 2 there is just being able to walk back a decision once you have new information or changing your mind on a topic. I've learned it's not a sign of like weakness. I think maybe when I started, it was about I should have the right answer from the get-go, or if I'm committed to an idea, I kind of got to stick it through no matter what. But that is a bit rigid, and that's not really being humble either. So if you're thinking about you have to change your stance on something, or you got new information and now you have to change your strategy to achieve your goal, that's being confident, actually, is being able to be agile and shift based on new information. And that is, I think that goes part, it's this part of the strategy of being open, listening to others, and being humble enough to say, oh, well, that direction might not have been the best. We're going to reverse course or change course slightly to make sure that we do achieve our goals. Might need a different strategy.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, why don't we go on to strategy
Sure.
number 3? Okay, we're talking about radical transparency. What does that mean to you, Jordan?
Well, this concept, I've read about it in different leadership books or leadership theory, and I would say that just to the extent that you can be transparent with someone, the furthest you can take it, you should take it all the way as far as you can without breaching confidentiality or privacy issues, because people will, once they have a window in to what your thinking is or your thought is, it just helps them build their perspective on the same topic. And oftentimes, I think in definitely in administration, we might have more information than the people we're speaking to, and sometimes people can feel like they don't have all like the same information that we do. So how they feel about something might be different. So to the extent possible that we can share info and be put the cards on the table, again, to the extent possible, given confidentiality and stuff, that we should do that. Like, there's no point to hold anything back unless you have to.
Right. Yeah, I can't agree more with that. It frustrates people sometimes when they know there's something else out there, another piece of information that that they need or that they might want in order to help a student or whatever kind of situation they're thinking about. But to withhold that wouldn't be a good thing, right? And it makes me think too about sometimes people want to have a meeting after we've already had a meeting, right? But if you laid out all your cards on the table ahead of time, then there's no need for that. And then that way everyone can be transparent with one another in the moment. And I think that creates a healthy workplace environment where people feel that they've got all the information, and it just builds that trust amongst the team.
Absolutely. Then there's also no game playing,
right,
where you have to backtrack. I can't remember if I said that, or I can't tell them because of this, and then that person will know. Once you get into that, you're just going to spin a web.
Yeah,
it's going to go out of control.
It's way too messy. It's not healthy workplace culture at all.
No, and it probably kind of ties in with strategy too, of just being, again, humble. Because sometimes you do make mistakes, so you can also being transparent about that. Like, I didn't really understand that well when I made that decision, or I didn't have all the facts. Here are the facts I have now. How should we proceed, sort of thing.
Yeah, you got it. All right. I'm sure you have other strategies that you've been working on with your team or thinking about in your own role at your school. Be happy to hear about some of those. But as we're in this role and we evolve, I'm sure we're going to think more and more about how to build strong relationships with staff and add some other tools to our own repertoire. But those are some of the quick thoughts that we've had this week.
What are they again? The 3 strategies? Go for it.
We've got connect and celebrate.
Woo!
Showing that humility with an openness to listen and learn from one another.
Great.
And radical transparency.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. See you later.
Thanks for listening to Becoming a Principal podcast. We're grateful for the time again that you spent with us, and we hope we've been helpful in some way to you. Be sure to check out our Instagram at Becoming a Principal podcast. Have a great day, everyone.